Imagine starting a new semester and making a completely unorthodox decision. Instead of sitting down with your syllabus to map out your classes, or buying a fresh new planner, or even just guessing how much time you need to study, you hand the entire process over to artificial intelligence. Your schedule, your study sessions, your assignment timeline, your entire daily routine, all completely controlled by ChatGPT for 4 months straight. Welcome to This Explainer. Giving ChatGPT complete control of a semester sounded brilliant. Then I saw the schedule. Today, we're going to look at the research, the data, and a really fascinating case study to explore exactly what happens when you abandon your own planning and let an AI dictate every single hour of your academic life.
So let's dive right into this. The core question we're exploring is pretty simple. Could artificial intelligence actually organize a semester better than the average student? Students today face a challenge that previous generations literally never had to deal with. Information is absolutely everywhere. Deadlines constantly overlap across multiple classes, and notifications are just endlessly competing for your attention. And research in educational psychology consistently shows that planning and self-regulation are among the absolute strongest predictors of academic success. Yet these are exactly the skills we usually find the hardest to maintain. So if planning is the central problem, what if an AI simply becomes the planner?
Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the meticulous setup in month 1, move into a surprising surge of momentum in month 2, hit the inevitable collision with human reality in month 3, and finally, we'll break down the concrete results and the actual academic research in month 4.
Okay, so to make this work, the student had to feed ChatGPT an absolute mountain of context. We are talking full course descriptions, specific assignment deadlines, part-time work schedules, target grades, and preferred study hours, all of it. The AI was given one single prompt: create a complete semester plan that maximizes learning, minimizes stress, and helps me stay ahead of deadlines. And honestly, what the AI produced was nothing short of impressive. It generated weekly schedules, daily study blocks, assignment timelines, and it even scheduled in rest periods. Everything had a place, and everything seemed perfectly under control.
At first, things were going surprisingly well. Why? Because the AI effectively eliminated something called decision fatigue. Most of us spend a massive amount of mental energy just deciding what to actually do next. You know the feeling, should I study chemistry? Should I write that essay? It quietly just drains your motivation. But the AI approach utilizes cognitive offloading. You don't have to ask, what should I do? You just follow the next step. Plus, the AI naturally applied evidence-based learning science. Instead of human panic cramming 2 days before a test, the AI distributed the work evenly across time, a concept known as spaced repetition. Less mental energy spent planning meant way more energy available for actual learning. For 3 weeks, it felt absolutely unstoppable.
The AI gave me a beautifully organized calendar. The schedule was perfectly optimized. My self-discipline, unfortunately, was still running an older version. And this is a very real, very human realization. ChatGPT created a flawlessly structured study schedule. The problem? It assumed a human being would actually follow it without fail. According to the AI's grand plan, I should have been reviewing complex chemistry concepts. According to reality, I was watching random videos at 11 p.m. The AI believed a student could study for 3 hours straight. Clearly, the algorithm had never met a real, exhausted student.
And then reality entered the chat. Life, as we all know, absolutely refuses to follow schedules perfectly. What happens when you get unexpectedly sick? What happens when you have sudden family responsibilities? Or, my personal favorite, when your group project partners completely delay their part of the work? What about days where you just have low energy or a total crash in motivation? When reality breaks the schedule, the AI-generated plan starts to show massive weaknesses. It assumes a level of robotic consistency that humans rarely achieve. When one single task is missed, several others shift out of place, creating this stressful domino effect. The system was highly organized, but people are messy. Planning and execution, it turns out, are entirely different concepts.
And that's when the experiment became incredibly interesting. Because this isn't just one student's quirky experience. Take a look at the number 130. That is how many students were surveyed in a really fascinating 2025 study by researchers Stephanie Cross, Ashish Dalvi, and Saeed Kubaib Zaidi. They surveyed students across South Asia and Europe to evaluate how generative AI is actively reshaping the way learning and teaching are approached. They essentially wanted to know, what skills do students actually need to survive in an academic environment where AI tools are just everywhere?
So the 2025 study identified 14 essential student skills required for engaging with generative AI effectively. The top ones: AI literacy, critical thinking, and ethical AI practices. But here is the really fascinating gap. The survey revealed significant deficiencies when it came to prompt engineering, being aware of AI bias, and actually managing the AI's output. Students are super eager for hands-on AI applications, while the academic literature often just prioritizes policy. On the flip side, the study identified 6 key strategies for lecturers, heavily emphasizing the need for Gen AI integration and thoughtful curriculum design. Basically, teachers aren't being replaced. Their roles are just shifting toward guiding students on how to actually navigate these tools responsibly.
But here's the catch. The AI had one major flaw. If you are relying on ChatGPT to map out your learning, you absolutely have to understand the concept of hallucination. A 2023 paper by Sukhpal Singh and a large team of international researchers explored the transformative effects of ChatGPT on education, and they issued a very strong warning about this. Hallucination is when the AI confidently produces entirely inaccurate or false data. If you're trusting an AI to outline your study materials for a complex finance or math exam, a hallucination can completely derail your entire understanding. You literally cannot just blindly trust the output.
Let's dig a bit deeper into the limitations identified in that same 2023 study. Aside from hallucinating false data, the researchers pointed out that ChatGPT can circumvent plagiarism detectors, which creates a pretty murky area for academic originality. But perhaps most importantly for our semester planning experiment, the AI lacks a stochastic measure to help provide sincere, sensitive communication. Basically, it doesn't have empathy. It doesn't know when you're exhausted. It doesn't feel the anxiety you feel before a major presentation, and it completely fails to detect burnout. It can give you a wonderfully rigid timeline, but it absolutely cannot replace human self-awareness and emotional intelligence.
So the final result wasn't exactly what I expected. Yes, ChatGPT can plan an entire semester. It can create amazing structure and break large, intimidating tasks into smaller steps. But the more important question is, should it do it entirely on its own? If AI can instantly generate a perfectly optimized syllabus, manage your time, and organize your information, what is your actual role as a student in this emerging era of chatbots? What should you focus on learning next?
Well, the answer isn't to reject the technology, but it's also not to just blindly surrender to it. The most successful approach from our case study was combining the AI's incredible organizational power with human flexibility. The future of education isn't students versus AI. Technology can absolutely save you time, reduce your decision fatigue, and perfectly organize your calendar. But learning, the actual internalization of knowledge, the persistence, the emotional resilience, that still belongs entirely to humans. The algorithm can organize your calendar, but it can't organize your mind. So if AI takes over the planning, are you ready to step up and do the actual thinking? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I'll see you next time.